Alright, what's good, y'all? Welcome back. This is the fourth part of the Lost slash Mysterious Locations Iceberg. If you haven't seen the other parts, I'll link like the whole playlist down below, and I'll link the original Reddit post and everything like that. Alright, so first up on this is the ADX Florence Prison. Basically what this is it's an American federal prison. It's near Florence in Colorado, and what it is it's a supermax prison. If you don't know what that is, it's basically just like more highly regulated, like higher securities and stuff like that, way more guards, less actual like convicts, I guess, felons, whatever you want to say, less people, you know what I mean, less prisoners actually at the prison, you know what I mean, and more guards. And basically this one is really important because it's one of the biggest ones actually in America. This one actually, this Supermax prison, Florence, actually right now holds Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. If you don't know who he is, he's the like alive brother of the Boston bombings. He was supposed to go to, actually, he was supposed to be killed. He was supposed to be sentenced to death, and then his thing got reduced just to life in jail. So he's gonna be spending the rest of his time alive there. And another famous person that's actually locked up there is James Marcello, who's like the front boss for one of the big Chicago mob outfits. He was convicted on racketeering, conspiracy for participating in 18 murders, and directing criminal activities including extortion, illegal gambling, loan sharking, and bribery. Alright, so up next is Biringan City. So basically what this place is it's a mythical city that lies in Philippines, and according to the local folklore, the population of Biringan is comprises of supernatural beings called the Encantos, I think is how you say it. And basically they're described as shape changers who can take human form. In their human form, they are said to lack philtrum between their nose and lips. I'm assuming that's this. So they're like, that's how I'm assuming they look.
Nope. The philtrum, or medial cleft, is a vertical indentation in the middle area of the upper lip, common to thebrian mammals. Basically, this thing.
But basically, the city is also alleged to contain a huge like treasure gold. A small number of people claim to have seen the city. Some seafarers have claimed to see a dazzling city of light on moonless nights for a few minutes, and according to folk stories, most of the people who claim to have seen the city have been victim of demon possessions. And basically there were reports of satellite images from a Japanese company that alleged to show brightly lit tracts of land in the region, which led the Japanese to believe that there are rich deposits of gold and uranium in the suspected area. They began work immediately, setting up a large work site in the town of San Jorge. But mysterious accidents and mishaps plagued the project from the start, forcing the Japanese company to shut down operation and abandon the project completely in an effort to avoid bankruptcy and cut their losses. So yeah, it's like a mythical city. It's got like some weird shapeshifter things that look like this, you know what I mean? And other than that, we moving on. Up next is White's Gentleman Club. This one, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this shit was gonna be sick, and then when I looked it up, bro, it's super boring. Basically, it's just the oldest gentleman's club in London. Coming from America, bro, a gentleman's club is like a strip club. So when I heard this is literally just like a club for dudes. Like they just chill and talk about business and weird shit, you know what I mean?
Boring!
It was founded in 1693 and is considered by many to be the most exclusive private club in London. Notable current members include Charles, Prince of Wales, and Prince William, Duke of Cambridge. This fucking guy. Former British Prime Minister David Cameron, whose father Ian Cameron had been the club's chairman, was a member for 15 years but resigned in 2008 over the club declining to admit women into the club. The Whites continued to maintain its tradition as an establishment exclusively for gentlemen. Brief exceptions were made for the visits by Queen Elizabeth II in 1991 and 2016. And that's all I really got for that one. Like I said, it's not that crazy. And yeah, we're just moving on to the next one. So up next is the Ark of the Covenant location. So basically the Ark of the Covenant location is, the Ark of the Covenant itself is the most sacred relic of the Israelites. It consists of a pure gold covered wooden chest with an elaborate lid called the mercy seat. The Ark is described in the book of Exodus as containing 2 stone tablets of the book that have like the 10 Commandments on it. And according to the New Testament book of Hebrews, it also contained Aaron's rod and a pot of manna. And according to church leaders, the Ark of the Covenant has for centuries been closely guarded in Axum at the Church of St. Mary of Zion. Not even the highest priest of Axum can enter its resting chambers. And its sole custodian is a virgin monk who cannot leave the sacred grounds until his death. So basically they just have one dude that guards this thing, takes care of it, looks over it for his whole life, and then he dies. Up next is Michelangelo's hidden drawing room. This one was pretty sick. I love art and shit like that. I have a brand, obviously. I mean, y'all probably don't know that, but hey, if you know me in real life, you already know. So basically Michelangelo's hidden drawing room. The room is located in Florence's Basilica di San Lorenzo. That was officially the church of the Medici family, which were the famous patrons of art who governed Florence and later Tuscany for centuries. And around 1520, the Medicis commissioned Michelangelo to design a family mausoleum. It came to be known as the Medici Chapels. But historians believe that Michelangelo eventually betrayed them by joining a 1527 revolution that drove the Medicis out of Florence. And basically, when the family finally returned back 3 years later, Michelangelo is thought to have gone into hiding for months inside the actual mausoleum itself, inside the chapel. You know what I mean? Like inside like a little secret room that he had. Basically, the hidden room was 23 by 6.5 feet. It was discovered in 1975 by a museum director who spotted a trap door below a wardrobe that led to a room. After cleaning the walls, the museum director discovered dozens of doodles and scribbles on the walls. Some of the drawings, there are as many as 70 different sketches on the room's wall. Art experts disagree on how many were actually drawn by him, like Michelangelo himself. When I read it, they said at least around like 20 of them were by him, like guaranteed, but the other ones they're not so sure of. But up next is the Dog Suicide Bridge. So the Dog Suicide Bridge is officially known as the Overton Bridge, and it's located in West Dunbartonshire in Scotland. Basically, since the 1950s, reports of numerous dogs either falling or jumping from the bridge have been reported, with the incidents often resulting in serious death or injury upon landing on the rocks some 50 feet below. And basically, that's how they got the name Dog Suicide Bridge, because dogs just are drawn to this bridge for some reason and they just constantly jump off. Super fucking weird. All right, at least 50 dogs have died from the fall, but over 600 have jumped. So you gotta think about that. That is a trash ratio. Okay, 600 of these motherfuckers are jumping off. 50 of them died. Okay, don't get me wrong, I don't want no dogs to die, but like, you would think if I saw a dog jump fucking 10 feet onto some rocks, bro, I'm thinking he's gone. 50 feet, bro, and only 50 out of 600 died. Like, I can't lie, that's pretty crazy. Good for the ones that live, man. Hopefully they didn't go back up and jump again. That would kill me inside. But anyways, we're moving on. Up next, oh shit. Up next is the land underneath Antarctica. So the Antarctic continent lies on a huge actual landmass. All right, so it's not just ice, which I was super confused about. I thought it was just a giant ice block, but apparently underneath the smooth ice sheet there are mountains, valleys. The sheet of ice covering it all is up to 4,000 meters high. What is that, like 12,000 fucking feet about? So I don't know if we ever even gonna see this shit. And in places the ice is about 4,000 meters deep, but around the Gamburtsev mountain ranges it's only around 27 meters high, and it lies right underneath the East Antarctic ice sheet. So basically we know there's land masses there, we know that there's mountains and all this shit, we just can't get to it yet, and who knows if we'll ever get to it. So up next basically is Jaya Shri Maha Bodhi. This is a sacred fig tree in the Mahawan Gardens in Anuradhapur, Sri Lanka, and basically it is the southern branch from the historical Sri Maha Bodhi at Bodhi Gaya in India, under which Buddha attained enlightenment. It was planted in 288 BC, and it is the oldest living human planted tree in the world with a known planting date. Anyways, in April 2014, the government banned all construction within 1,600 feet of the tree to kind of keep it safe. Only construction that's allowed closer is obviously construction that's just not going to affect the tree in any way, or is not gonna actually hurt it. So this tree is super sacred. If you're Buddhist or whatever, I'm sure you'd want to go to this place. I want to go check this shit out. This shit sounds crazy to me. But we moving on, man. Next thing up is the Eternal Flames Falls. So basically it's just a waterfall. It's like a really small waterfall in the Shale Creek Preserve, which is a section of Chestnut Ridge Park in Westchester, New York. So if you're in New York, you can go check this shit out today. You feel me? Basically, there's a small grotto, and at the waterfall's base, it emits natural gas, which keeps this little flame going all the time. And basically, it can be relit. It's relit kind of all the time. Sometimes it goes out, you know what I mean? So they kind of constantly relight it just to keep it going, and it's visible all year round. So not much else to that one, to be real with you. I just wanted to include it because, hey, it's on the iceberg, and I'm covering everything on here, man. I said I was, so I'm going to do it. Up next is the Valley of the Headless Men. It's officially known as the Nahanni Valley because when you look up the Valley of the Headless Men, it's a lot of just books and it's stories about this valley, but it doesn't actually, it never says anywhere that this is actually called this, okay? From my research, at least. If you look it up and you can find it, hey, I had to look up the Nahanni Valley and then go into the story from there. But basically the story starts like this, all right? In 1908, brothers Willie and Frank McLeod, sorry if I fucked up your name, boys, but they embarked on a mission into the Nahanni Valley in search of gold. They never came back, all right? 2 years later, the body of the brothers were found on the banks of the Nahanni River. Their heads, though, were nowhere to be found, all right? Gone. Deadass, just torsos and down, you feel me? The two men were murdered, decapitated, and left on the side of the river for the next party of explorers to find. 9 years after they were found and everything like that, all right? Martin Jorgensen, he sets off in the same valley, okay? Same thing. He looking for gold, bro. Stop going out there looking for gold. Just go out there sightsee. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly that's what these guys are going out there and getting fucked over for, you know what I mean? Or there's just some crazy dude in the woods that's just chopping heads off for no reason. Soon after he set out, letters claiming that he had struck gold, his cabin mysteriously burned to the ground and the remains of his body were found among the ashes. Just like the McLeod brothers, his body was found without a head, alright? And then again in 1945, a miner from Ontario succumbed to the same exact fate. His body was found headless in his sleeping bag. And there's just a few more stories like that. Like, that's literally it. But up next is Heard Island, okay? So it's an Australian external territory comprising of a volcano group of mostly barren Antarctic islands. It's about 2/3 of the way from Madagascar to Antarctica. So if you can picture the globe, it's like Madagascar, Antarctica, it's like right around here type of thing. Basically, it was discovered in the mid-19th century. The islands lie on the Kerguelen Plateau in the Indian Ocean and have been Australian territory since 1947. They contain Australia's only 2 active volcanoes. The summit of one, Mawson Peak, is higher than any other mountain in all of Australia's other states or territories. Kind of boring, man, so we moving on to the next one. The next thing up is the Patomskiy Crater, or the Patom Crater. That's what I'm going with, the Patom Crater. I could say that all day, all right? It's a peculiar rock formation. It is a large mound made of shattered limestone blocks on the slopes of the Patom Highlands in the area of dense taiga. Its base diameter is about 160 meters, and its height is about 40 meters. The volume of the crater is estimated as about 160 meters, like base diameter. It's about like 40 meters tall, and then just like the overall actual like circumference and space of it is about 250 to 250,000 meters, cubic meters. I don't know if that really makes a difference, but who knows, man. And it's got a weight of about 1 million tons. So this thing is heavy as fuck. All right. Until recently, some scientists believe that the crater presents a large footprint of an ultra-dense meteorite which had sunken underground upon impact. And basically, others believe that it was a result of a breakthrough of a deep pocket of natural gas. So they really can't, there's no exact reason for this thing, is what I'm trying to say. All right, there's like 4 or 5, there's a bunch of different hypotheses and theories on this shit. Nobody really knows what the fuck it is. It's a big limestone rock thing. That's all that one is. Short, long story short, you know what I mean? Short story long. Up next, though, is Slope Point, okay? Slope Point is the southernmost point of the South Island of New Zealand. Slow Point lies just south of the small settlements of Wakawa and Haldane. It's near the southwestern edge of the Catlins and Totos Bay. The land around it is used for sheep farming, and no houses are anywhere nearby. Eroded cliffs drop down to the sea below and everything like that. And a AA signpost there shows the distance from the equator to the South Pole. And yeah, basically there's no road to this place. You just gotta know where to go. You have to it's about a 20-minute walk from, and there's got like these little designated markers leading to it. And there's not much. It's just like a random southernmost point in fucking New Zealand, and it just shows the distance to the equator and to the South Pole. And that's it. Up next though is the Leningradskaya Station. All right, it's a Russian, formerly Soviet Union, Antarctic research base. It's located on the northern shore of Victoria Land at the Oats Coast. It was opened on February 25th, 1971 by the members of the 15th Soviet Antarctic Expedition. It closed in 1991, but during its lifetime, it was host to studies of meteorology, earth magnetism, oceanology, and glaciology. And that's it. Not many people know about it. It closed pretty quickly, wasn't open for that long. Next up is closed cities in Russia. So basically what this is, it's just a closed city or a town or settlement, whatever it is, where traveler residency restrictions are applied, so that specific authorization is required to visit or remain overnight. Basically, these cities are closed to mostly everybody unless you actually live there. You need specific paperwork to go there. Nobody stays overnight. Nobody really lives there. There's tons of these things across Russia. Some of them are used for like military kind of operations and shit like that, where others are just closed just for no real apparent reason other than being closed. There are currently 44 publicly acknowledged closed cities in Russia with a total population of about 1.5 million people. There's 75% are considered administered by the Russian Ministry of Defense. Another 15 or so closed cities are believed to be in existence, but nobody actually knows the location because Russia's government hasn't said anything about them. But just from like the numbers and people like basically doing research into this more than I have, they've come to the conclusion that there should be about at least 15 or so more that just have never been talking about, never been spoken about. So up next though is Surtsey Island. It's in Iceland. All right, it's a volcanic island located in the Vestmannaeyjar archipelago off the southern coast of Iceland. Surtsey is the southernmost point of Iceland. It was formed in a volcanic eruption which began about like 400 feet under the actual like water, okay? And it reached surface on November 14th, 1963. All right, so it's just basically like it's a newer island is how I would consider it. You know what I mean? It's a brand new volcanic island. Looks pretty sick from like the pictures of it. You know what I mean? It looks pretty beautiful there. It looks peaceful and shit. Basically, it was named Sutra after the fire god and giant from Norse mythology. And basically, this island is special because it's only supposed to be above water for the next 100 years. And then basically they've done the math and said that the sea level will rise so much that it's gonna get covered up. Next up is the Kola superdeep borehole, okay? Basically, this thing is the result of a scientific drilling project of the Soviet Union in the Patomskiy district. It's near the Russian border of Norway and is on the Kola Peninsula. Basically, this project attempted to drill as deep as possible into the Earth's crust. You know what I mean? Just keep going as far as it can go until they can't go no more. Drilling began on the 24th of May 1970 using the Urlamash 4E, which is, I'm assuming, is the drill they were using, and later the Urlamash 1500 series drilling rig. It became the deepest man-made hole in history in 1979. It's a 9-inch diameter, okay? So it's not that big of an actual hole, but it goes deep, all right? It reached about 12,262 meters or 40,230 feet in 1989, and it was officially the deepest artificial point on Earth. All right, so they hit it, the deepest man-made hole ever. Okay, it was basically from this, it got this legend, local legend, I guess. And basically, the legend holds that a team of Soviet engineers, reportedly led by an individual named Mr. Azakov. They lowered an extremely heat-tolerant microphone along with other sensory equipment into the well. The temperature deep within was 1,000 degrees Celsius or 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit. It was considered the heat from a chamber of fire, which reportedly the tormented screams of the damned could be heard. So basically, these people thought that they had drilled so far that they found hell. And later on, the looping screams were identified as a soundtrack from a fucking movie. It's called Barren Blood.
A nightmare world of horror.
So, get trolled. Next up is the Plain of Jars. But basically what this is it's a giant field of jars in Laos. It consists of thousands of stone jars scattered around the uplands and lower foothills. Basically, they're huge, all right? These are giant ass jars. They're fucking all over the place. French researcher Madeleine Colani concluded in 1930 that the jars were associated with burial practices. Excavation by Laos and Japanese archaeologists in the intervening years had supported this interpretation with the discovery of human remains, burial goods, and ceramics around the jars. The jars at Site 1 were reportedly transported there from a different location that was about 8 kilometers away. So these motherfuckers were dragging this shit forever, dog. But basically the sad part about this thing is during the Vietnam War, so many of them were destroyed. Like, we dropped so many fucking bombs on these things. A lot of the bombs did not go off too, so there's a lot. You can't even really walk around these things, you know what I mean? They have very set paths that you can like go through for tours and stuff like that, but it's just not a safe area, man. Like, there's still explosives out there. There's still like bombs that haven't gone off yet from way back then. Next up is Monkey Island in Liberia. This is a sad one, man. I can't even lie. So in 1974, researchers from the U.S. nonprofit blood bank, the New York Blood Center, opened an experimental laboratory on the west coast of Liberia. Working with the Liberian Biomedical Research Institute, they trapped wild chimpanzees and used them to conduct research and drug trials. The animals were kept outside of the capital. Researchers infected them with various diseases such as hepatitis B and river blindness and eye sickness that's caused by a parasite. Basically, they did this so that they can study like the different treatments and stuff and if it would be like viable for humans. So we did this stuff with a lot of shit, if you didn't know that already. The total population of these animals, these monkeys I should say, it was 85 chimpanzees in total, okay? The work at the research lab was disrupted because in Liberia they had 2 civil wars going on in the 1990s, okay? In 2005, the facility was closed for good and the apes were gradually relocated to 6 uninhabited islands in the Farmington River estuary. You can't really go to this island because they're still infected with these diseases. That's why they put them on like uninhabited islands, you know what I mean, to kind of keep them away from people so they won't spread these diseases. But next thing, I'm not gonna lie, I told y'all earlier that I wasn't gonna skip nothing, but this one I'm kind of gonna skip. It's hidden oil rigs in LA. It's exactly what it says. It's just hidden oil rigs in LA. They put fake buildings over them. That's that one, and we moving on from that one quick. I ain't trying to spend too much time. Next up is the Mississippians, okay? The Mississippians, it was a Native American civilization, okay? It flourished in what is now today's Midwestern, Eastern, and Southeastern United States, okay? It was around like Mississippi, hence the name. They reigned from around 800 to 1600 CE. They're known for building large earthen platform mounds and often other shaped mounds as well. It's really not much information here, guys. Like I'm trying to get this shit out to you, but the Mississippians doesn't have that much information. All right. Up next is Mumu. It's a mythical lost continent introduced by Augustus Le Plongeon, who used the land of Mu as an alternative name for Atlantis. Okay, so Mumu, Atlantis. I prefer Mumu. The place of Mu in literature has been discussed in detail in Lost Continents 1954 by L. Sprague de Camp. Geologists dismissed the entire existence of Mu, all right, and the lost continent of Atlantis as physically impossible. arguing that a continent can neither sink nor be destroyed in the short period of time asserted in legends and folklore and literature about these places. So up next is Blood Falls. What Blood Falls is basically it's another waterfall, and the water comes out looking red. Why it comes out red is because it's basically an overflow of iron oxide tainted salt water. Easiest way to say it, all right? Flows from the tongue of the Taylor Glacier onto ice-covered surface of the West Lake Bonny in the Taylor Valley of the McMurdo Dry Valleys in Victoria Land, East Antarctica. All right, and basically the reddish color and deposit was found in 1911 by Griffith Taylor. The Antarctic pioneers first attributed the red color to algae, but later it was proven to be iron oxides. Next up though is fairy circles in Namibia. But basically what they are these circular patches of barren plants. Basically it's like little patches of dead grass. All right, that's the best way to picture it. Big field, little tiny patches of dead grass. Okay, they range between 2 and 15 meters in diameter. It's often encircled by a ring of stimulated growth of grass, and until 2014 the phenomenon was only known to occur in the arid grasslands of the Namibia Desert in the western parts of South Africa. All right, being particularly common in Namibia, and in that year, ecologists were alerted to similar rings of vegetation outside of Africa in the part of Pilbara in Western Australia. Basically, so the myth of these little patches of grass goes like this. All right. Basically, they're said to have been caused by the gods, spirits, or natural divine entities, whatever you want to call them. The region's Bushmen have traditionally ascribed spiritual and magical powers to them. Of specific beliefs, the Himba people note that their original ancestor, Mukuru, was responsible for the creation of the fairy circles, and that they were footprints from the gods. Okay. Up next is Cleopatra's tomb location. All right. Now, I know y'all heard of Cleopatra, Queen Cleopatra, Alexander the Great. It's all wrapped up in this one, my guys. The burial crypt of Mark Antony and Cleopatra VIII from 30 BC remains undiscovered somewhere near Alexandria, Egypt. According to historians, the Roman leader Octavian permitted their burial together after he had defeated them. Okay. Reports in 2008 and 2009 focused on the announcement that noted that Egyptologist Zahi Hawass that he might have found the tomb in Taposiris Magna, a temple to Osiris. It's located in the west of Alexandria, Egypt. Excavations carried out by Kathleen Martinez have yielded 10 mummies and 27 tombs of Egyptian nobles, as well as coins bearing images of Cleopatra and carvings showing the two in an embrace. So far, the tomb itself, though, has not been discovered. And basically, they're still looking for it, man. Hopefully one day we know where these people are at, but as of now, it's still a mystery. Up next is the Wanaka Tree. So the Wanaka Tree, also known as the Wanaka Willow, is basically, it's a giant willow tree. It's located at the southern end of Lake Wanaka in the Otago region of New Zealand. The tree sits alone in the water and is a popular destination for tourists to take Instagram photos. So basically, as a result of the popularity of this tree, the Wanaka Tree has been damaged on purpose and not on purpose a few times. So now it's kind of like, you know what I mean, it's a little weird. They basically kind of try to protect it nowadays. And it got so popular on Instagram that now it's known as that Wanaka Tree. So pretty sick. Pictures of it definitely look dope. I don't know if it does it justice. I'll have to see it for myself. Up next is the Cochno Stone. Okay, so the Cochno Stone, it's basically prehistoric drawings. All right, easiest way to put it. The Bronze Age rock is found on a stone measuring 42 by 26 feet and was documented in 1887 by Reverend James Harvey. It features around 90 carved indentations, considered to be one of the finest sets of petrographs in Scotland. The stone was reburied in 1965 to protect it from vandalism, but then in 2015 it was partially exposed again for an investigation, and then again it was pulled up and now it's just out in the open for anybody to see. So pretty sick, super old drawings if you like that type of shit, if you like caveman type of things. It's pretty sick, look it up, you know what I mean? Last up is Longyearbyen, all right? It is the world's northernmost settlement, okay? That's basically the gist of it. It's the most it's the most northern actual settled place on the world, okay? And basically, it's largely inhabited area of Svalbard, Norway, which, if you watch my other videos, it's got the Svalbard global seed bank, which holds all the seeds that like people have discovered and are holding on to in case we need it one day. It was known as Longyearbyen City until 1926, when the town was established and named after an American. Hey, shout out America, cuz John Monroe Longyear. All right, his Arctic Coal Company started coal mining there in 1906. So basically, around 1943, World War II type of thing, the German Kriegsmarine almost completely destroyed the town on September 8th of 1943. But rebuilding took place after the Second World War. Historically, Longyearbyen has been a company town, but mostly mining operations have moved to Svegruva, I think is how I say it, all during the 1990s. And production ceased in 2017 due to immense financial losses suffered by the SNSK since 2014 due to market conditions. Meanwhile, the town has seen a large increase in tourism, research, all that stuff. This includes the arrivals of institutions such as University Center in Svalbard, as well as the Svalbard Global Seed Bank, like I said. And that's all I got for this one, yo. Like, I ain't got much else to say. If you watch this shit, I hope this thing isn't fucking an hour long, but hey, man. Soon, hopefully later this week, I'm gonna upload 2 things. I got a whole different iceberg I'm about to just run through in one video like this. It might be a longer one too, but I seen it and I was like, oh shit, this one's kind of sick, you know what I mean? So we'll see. But anyways, deuces, stay dangerous.